Welcome to Jollof and Fiction, home of African literature and stories, the kind that warm your heart like a fresh pot of jollof. Today, you're tuning into a recorded session of our online book discussion, so sit back, relax, and join the conversation.
Mhlongo is a South African, was born in Soweto, and he grew up under the apartheid and lost his father as a teenager. He earned a BA in African literature and political studies. All I'm trying to say here is that he now lives in Berlin and he writes constantly about Soweto. For You, I'd Still a Goat is his latest short story collection, and it was published in 2022. So I'd like us to start by telling us, what do you think about this book? For You, I'd Still a Goat. If you want to say something, please feel free to raise your hand and I'll call you. Okay. Okay, I see one hand up. Okay, Barnabas.
Hi, lads. Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so my first impression of the book, the title, I thought probably the title was a bit corny, but then I have since learned to not judge a book by the cover, nor by the title. But the first story was quite a ride, and after that, subsequent story just kept the tempo, so I enjoyed it. And I'm glad I didn't judge the book by its title. I actually do appreciate the title now more than ever. Thank you. So that's my general overview of the book. Thank you.
I think that's really lovely. Anybody else have something to say? Please raise your hand too, because if you don't raise your hand, I am going to call you one after the other. So please raise your hand and make this a beautiful, wonderful thing. Okay, let's see. Who shall I call? Hi, Anita. Please, could you unmute your mic and tell us what you think about the book? It can be anything from the title to whatever it is, whatever your impression was and is about the book. Let's hear you.
I'm very certain you just saw the first name on that list. I'll change my name. By the way, for you, it's still a good. So this is not the first time I've encountered the book, right? I don't remember who it was, but a contact posted the book on their status. And frankly, I don't remember ever reading the book. Yeah, reading it now, I recalled vague memories. And I remember the very first time I encountered it, I was very amused by the title. I was like, why a goat? Right? Oops, sorry, I think that's my network. I was like, why a goat? And reading it was, some stories really amused me, gave the energy I expected from the story, because from the title I expected a funny collection of stories, and some of them gave me that energy, while others were different in an interesting way, I guess.
Thank you so much, Anita. That is a beautiful, wonderful explanation of the book. It was refreshing to hear. Why a goat? Someone should answer. Why a goat? Okay. So, Divine, you're up.
Okay. Hello, everybody. Good evening. Um, so my first thoughts when I saw the title of the book was that, oh, it's going to be interesting because I like books with dramatic titles. I don't know, but I found out like that books with dramatic titles are kind of interesting. Not all of them do. But yeah, and I wasn't surprised to find that the stories were actually intriguing, captivating, and yeah, I also like short stories, so I enjoyed the book. That's all I have to say.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Divine. Neobong, you're up.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
mind my voice. I'm not feeling fine at the moment. So this story, I thought it would be a romantic story because the title "For You I Still a Goat" that's like a declaration of love to me. Oh, I don't know. It's a declaration of love. Like wow, a goats. We can make goat meat pepper soup. I thought it was a romantic story, but the short stories were filled with twists and turns, and it was really interesting. I enjoyed it so much. Thank you. That's all I have to say.
I think that that's really refreshing, and now you're making me crave goat's meat pepper soup. But it's all good. Okay, before we move on, I want to see maybe one or two other reactions from people. So let me look for who I will call. Who would I call? Who would I call? Okay. Marcia, I hope I said the name right. Marcia, are you there? Please could you unmute your mic and talk to us?
Hi everyone, good evening. Um, so I I read the book. I liked it. I was intrigued by the title, just like everybody else was. It was funny. It was refreshing. I enjoyed the book. So yeah.
Okay. 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 I think I think that one of the things that has stood out for me, like right now, as everybody has been as everybody has been speaking, is the fact that dramatic titles have a way of snagging your attention. So you may be sleeping or dozing off, and then you just see a book. Like Barnabas said here, who drove nearly all the men in Lagos mad, and all the other titles that you guys are putting here that are very, 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 very intriguing. And somebody's like, let me know what happens. Okay, so one more person before we go into it. Who would I call? Who would I call? Who would I call? Who would I call? Lambent, if you're there, please. Would love to hear from you.
Thank you, Light. Um, I also thought it would be a romantic. I didn't know it was a collection of short stories, but I think at this point, collection of short stories has become my favorite kind of book to read, and I enjoyed every of the story in this book, all of them. I was just unwinding. I would come back from work tired, and I would read it. It was like a warm blanket hug. I really enjoyed the book. I think the author did a very nice job. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Lambent. Chalbian, I hope I said your name right. I saw that you raised your hands, and so please go ahead before I ask the next question.
Oh, thank you very much, Light. Good evening, everybody. I wanted to say that when I saw the title of the book, even without reading the description, I was expecting something light-hearted, over the moon, over the clouds kind of story, because I thought it was kind of going to be like an African romantic story. Only for me to get into it. I mean, the first story in the book was not really deep, but then the other stories were really deep, and they addressed societal issues. They were very, very heavy. Some of them were very heavy to digest. So I would say that overall, the book is very, I mean, it was my second 5 star for the year. Seriously. So, yeah, it was that good.
Wow, second 5 star is huge. I think I should give you a round of applause for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Okay, so I'm going to be posting the questions in the chat so that we can, follow when I read them aloud. And I'm starting with this. Please confirm that you can hear me, everybody. Can you guys hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. Thank you. All right. So the question says, over here, where I live, some landlords have a hard time evicting tenants who won't pay from their houses. It begs a question. What is the best way to send someone packing who has overstayed their welcome? And so, sorry. So if you have an answer to that question, please raise your hand. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, Lambent, you're up. You're up.
Thank you. It's actually a very, very real problem or situation. I know a lawyer back in Onsuka, and he's in my church actually, in my choir. He would always gist us of stories with landlords and tenants. It's actually it's a problem. I appreciate this question because you would see some totally berserk tenants. They are not paying. They refuse to pay. Some of them has even overstayed the compulsory 6 months that is due them and has refused to pay and has refused to leave. The landlord, the story was telling us just last week, the landlord had to start using really unorthodox means since the legal way wasn't working fast enough. The landlord defecated in a black nylon and plastered it on the tenant's window. Real life story. Then went at night and disconnected the house. So this friend of mine who is a lawyer was the one that was now advising the landlord, his client, that no, you can't do this, you can't stoop to his level. He instructed the landlord's wife to go and wash the tenant's window for him and then forced him to reconnect his light and said they have to continue to go to it the legal means before he sabotages his own case and the tenant now has something to even stay in his house forever. So I would like an answer to this as well because even the legal means can be frustrating sometimes. Some tenants you will call lawyer, they will call lawyer. You will call, they will call. They are going toe to toe with you in your house. They are wrong. Some of them, you're telling them, I want to do a renovation. There was a tenant that went to do solar panel without informing the landlord. And the way the house was built, you cannot just perforate the roof or make any adjustment without the architect so that he can guide you on the proper way. What he did affected the entire rooms in the building. The landlord approached him. He was very braggadocious and rude. He kept telling the landlord that he's an enemy of progress that doesn't want him to have solar panel because his house doesn't have light. It was a serious case over here. We're just witnessing it. So I would like an answer to this as well. What's the best way to handle some of these totally unhinged tenants that they are wrong, they're still frustrating the landlord? The legal means doesn't always work. Thank you.
Let's give it up for Lambent, who has managed to not only add more nuances to the question, but somehow ended up not answering it and asking us back the same question. Because I would like to know, and let's give it up to Divine as she tells us what she thinks about this question. Divine, if you can hear me, please unmute your mic.
Get Lambert's part of the question. Oh, sorry, my network is bad. Can you hear me?
I can. What were you saying?
Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
my
here. I can
network
hear you.
is bad.
Okay. Maybe you should leave and come back. Kichu, you're up,
Lambert.
please.
Okay, I'll do that.
Should I still go up now?
Yes, please.
Hi everyone, good evening. So what I would do, what I suggest the law should do in this kind of situation, I don't believe in fighting fire for fire. I believe in fighting fire with more fire. So if you feel like you want to stoop low, I will show you that I spent my
Go
childhood
ahead, we're
bending
listening to
bend
you.
low for Jesus. I will dance bend low for Jesus. Can everybody hear me, please?
Yes, ma'am.
So I need you to grab a pen and paper because we're about to dissect something very interesting. I give you this house and you have contracts to do certain things, and you turn against those contracts and don't do certain things. I will leave you in the house and make your stay very uncomfortable. For instance, in the contract, I'm not inclined to give you light, I'm not inclined to give you water. I will make sure those do not exist for you. And if you feel like you can do without those two for a long period of time, I will also make sure that your locks are changed. And I will not claim that I changed them. And when you change them again, I will make sure I change them again. And if you think that you can get pettier than me, I will show you that I'm even more petty. I will not infiltrate into your compound because I've given it to you, right? So temporary ownership of the compound, it is yours. But I will get a dog. I will get anything that can infiltrate into that compound, I will get it. Anything that can make you terrible, I will get chicken. I will start rearing chickens. I will start farming and have fertilizer forgotten at your compound. I will tie red things on all my trees, saying that I want them to bear. I will get children to climb the trees and tell them that, oh, there are plants there that they need to harvest. Oh my God. When you have to deal with madness consistently, see, consistency is something that is underrated. When you have to deal with madness Monday for 8 hours straight, Tuesday for 12 hours, Wednesday a different type of madness, Thursday a creative kind of madness, nothing against the law, nothing wrong. I promise you're going to leave. Except you want to run mad, you're going to leave. Thank you very much. That's my contribution.
I'm a little scared to keep talking. Oh. Oh my days. Okay. 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 Thank you so much, Kitty. This is called Meeting Fire with Even More Fire. Okay, let's hear you, Divine. Let's hear you.
Okay, my network was really terrible, and I think I didn't get most of the parts of the other people contributing. I would have loved to hear what they had to say. But I wanted to answer that question. Um, Actually, I think I heard when Lambert was saying that going by the law is actually a very strenuous process, and that's true, especially in Nigeria, where the judicial system is quite strenuous. But then, you have to still be on the right side of the law. There are right ways to go about it. That's why it is important that if you're an owner of a property, you should have a lawyer that will guide you in making agreements with tenants, so that when these issues come up, you know how to go about it, how to handle it the right way on the side of the law. So actually, legally, if a person's rent is due and the person has failed to pay, and the landlord has decided to terminate that relationship, what he's supposed to do is give a notice, and then after if depends on like the period of duration of the tenancy, and then after that give a 7 days notice, and then dispute the matter in court. So if it was like in a better working judicial system where there judiciary is faster in handling cases like this, it wouldn't have been a problem. But because of how lengthy cases Nigeria are, so people find that it's strenuous. Okay, this person will just be in my house, and this case will go on for several years. But a solution to that, is it a solution or a good part of that, is that even if that person has stayed, should I say, 5 years till the matter is decided, there's what we call a mean profit in law. It's a calculation of the overdue rent from the time the matter was instituted, the time the tenancy was terminated, to the time that the judgment was given. So, but I still understand the frustration landlords go through, because the law, especially in Nigeria, tends to protect tenants. So it's usually difficult for landlords to succeed in courts. So that's why they need lawyers to draw up like and give them solutions sometimes, so that they don't even need to go to court. So yes, I understand the frustration that landlords may feel, because imagine that you have a place that is your only source of income, and then you have to spend money getting lawyers, paying for appearance fee for several years, and that person is just looking at you and you can't do anything. But I would advise that if anybody's ever on that in that situation, always make sure that you're on the right side of the law, so that if there is any reason that you have to stand before the court of law, it will be that you did the right thing. Yeah, that's what I have to say.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. This is legal advice. Kitu. Abego.
First of all, I am the law.
Okay.
The law is me.
Okay, Anita, you're up. And please, that'll be the last person before we go into the next question.
Okay, so I'm very glad someone gave us legal advice before I started speaking, right? So we've had a very extreme Kitu, and we've had the correct divide. And she rightfully admitted that the law in Nigeria will frustrate your life. However, I have a different option similar to Kitu, but not as extreme. I didn't hear everything she said, right? But I heard enough to know that wow, that's scary. Now I listened to a podcast called I Said What I Said, right? And there's this very old episode where someone hired some theater art students to come into her father's house, dress in questionable attire, and chant strange words around his bed. Thank you. As a means of revenge for something he did to her like 12, 15 years ago. She was a teenager, basically. And so what I would advise is, as Nigerians are very, very religious and superstitious people, it will involve slight breaking and entry, but technically it's your house, it's your property. Are you really breaking and entering your own property? No, not really. So hire these people, let them enter, chat for like 3 days. I promise you, your tenants will move out on their own. Because Nigerians, they have patience to frustrate you. Like the house I grew up in, right? They gave everybody notice that we should leave. My father does not like Wahala. My father packed up and left. Till today, there is a man who is still there struggling house with that landlord. They will frustrate you if you don't frustrate them back. I promise you. So either follow Kitty's way or follow my way, but one way or the other, they will leave that compound.
Thank you very much, Anita. This is very enlightening. And why it's a little funny to me is because in the story that we all read, right, it was the house owner who eventually ran away. So it is both hilarious and, I don't know, saddening that the legal process is unable to actually make things go the way they're supposed to. And if you ask me, I think that the bank is to blame in that story, but nobody's asking me. So, on to the next question. After reading this book, would you say the institution of marriage is failing people, or people are failing the institution? Okay. Anybody want to answer? Okay. Nabas, you're up.
All right, thank you, Light. Well done so far. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
So I'd say the institution of marriage has always been what it is and will always be what it is, a union of two people who have like a mutual agreement. What I would say is that people are failing in the institution of marriage, not the other way around. And I think there's a certain review we had here, and we talked about love, compatibility, and relationship. And there's something Mokut said that stuck with me since that time. I don't know if it was last year. She said that marriage is not necessarily two people who are very compatible living together, but two people who are always willing to compromise for each other for as long as they can, and that's what defines marriage. And for that was very profound. You can tell it by the way I could quote it word to word, the way she said it that night. And it was during a review like this she said it. So since then, that has been on my mind. Like the two people are coming together to say let's get a point in their life to accommodate the other person. And I think this age and time, people are not willing to compromise to at least. I think that's what love is, being able to let go of your will. Because this is someone who did not grow up with you, different backgrounds, so you can't expect them to want the same things you want. One person will have to let go for the other. And a lot of times, I think it's often one partner who's always doing it to avoid trouble, to avoid trouble. Another time, he'll wear out or she'll wear out because it's not supposed to be one sided. So that's my opinion. I don't think marriage is failing. I think people are failing at marriage. So the problem, marriage has always been, even before now, and will always be. My mom used to say something. My mom would say, "Do not." I don't know if I can say, but she was saying that do not. She often advised me and my cousin that we should not rush for any woman. That even on your day of your burial, you still see beautiful women staring at your grave. So I'm just saying that marriage will always be, even when you leave this earth, people will always still get married. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Barnabas. You've given me food for thought. Marriage is not failing people, maybe. Okay, okay. I'm taking notes, copious notes, if you believe that. Okay, Lambent, what do you have to add to this?
Thank you. I think that marriage as an institution at the very crux or at the very heart of it is a very selfless is let me use the word institution again. It's very selfless, and over the years people have gotten a lot more selfish, a lot more self-aware, a lot more self-absorbed, and just myself. We've seen the trend. People have come to the point where they want to know what's in it for them, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing, but it can become obsessive in such a way that if you're entering a business partnership, or I don't know, some agreement of some sort, you can be totally self absorbed. What's in it for me? What's the percentage I'm getting? You can be that calculative. But the institution of marriage, according to, I'm talking from the worldview of a Christian, according to the Bible, has a lot of what's in it for the other person at the center of it. And if the two people are going to come in saying, what can I do for this person, which completely goes against, the word, right? It goes against what it is obtainable out there. You're supposed to come in knowing fully well what you're gaining from something. But now here is a union that is telling you that you must come in willing to fully commit to what the other person will gain from you. So it shreds away every iota of selfishness, and people are not very, very willing to do that these days. It feels as though to get vulnerable, and I won't 100% blame them, because some of the scare stories out there, people's vulnerability even to their own spouse has been greatly abused over the years. So everybody has their guard up. Everybody has their guard up, and marriage as a union demands your guard down, demands your vulnerability, demands your sensitivity. It even demands some degree of childlikeness. So I would say that marriage in itself is untainted. It stands where it stands, but every day it keeps drifting far and far apart from what the world is becoming and what the world is demanding and what the world is teaching. So much so that if you stand all the way on the other extreme ideologies in this world, and you look at marriage, you think it's the most stupid thing you could ever do in your life. If you are standing right now in this day at the center of the ideologies all around, and you stand and you look at marriage through that lens, you're going to say anybody's stupid to go into this thing, because it's completely anti-logic. So I think that marriage is untainted, but two is just like saying you want 100% traditional housewife that stays home and looks after the kids 247, and you always have hot fresh meals, who also earns and split the bills 50-50. So I'm just using that ideology to portray the fact that they they don't seem to be much of a middle ground. For marriage to work, you are either here or you are on the side of marriage where you believe that I can still be vulnerable, I can still trust someone, I can still love someone without questions. because everybody's going in with so many questions. If I love you, is this gonna and it negates the very institution. I think God made it for two people to be the most vulnerable they can be while being the strongest they can be. But crazy things are happening according to Tenny, right? So I would just say that marriage is untainted. It's people's actions, people's decisions that is making it seem as if it's changing marriage, but it's not changing marriage. It's just changing the people, it's changing the world. But the standalone ideologies in the world still remains, just like how childbearing still remains. This still remains. That still remains, irrespective of what you may have come to believe about it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lambden. Thank you. Okay, so we're going straight into the next question. Amo, to be married or to marry is not for little children, no. It's for people who are ready to sacrifice their time and a lot of other things. So please, um this is not a warning, but this is advice from somebody who is not married to all of you who want to be married. Shine your eye, yo. Okay. The next question is betrayal defined by the act itself or by the relationship between the people involved? Question says, is betrayal defined by the act itself or by the relationship between the people involved? I'd like to know what you guys think about this. Okay. Anybody? Somebody? Anybody want to say something? Okay. So let me say something while I'm waiting for you guys to raise up your hands. I think that anybody can be silly, anybody can try to be funny, but for something to count as betrayal, it has to come from a place of trust. It has to be a breach of trust. This is what I think. And it's even more saddening when it's somebody who should know better, who you've trusted with, like, vital parts of your life, and then they just throw you to the curb. But yes, I saw Kitu's hand and I would like to know what she thinks. After Kitu, Anita, let's go.
I don't almost change my mind. Hi, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Okay. So, for me, I feel like betrayal is betrayal. Sorry, I may sound quite like I have PTSD, and maybe I do. So, that aside, I feel like betrayal is betrayal. If you do something that is clearly wrong to someone that did not you've betrayed the person's trust. Now there is now the hierarchy of this betrayal. That's my personal opinion. So the way an acquaintance will betray me, the way my friend will betray me, the way my husband will betray me, the way my best friend will betray me, so on and so forth. There's a difference in the way I'll feel. There's a difference in the hurt I'll feel. There's a difference in the expectations I expect from these people. For instance, naturally, maybe I do not like giving certain parts of myself to certain people. I don't like being vulnerable. Now, in a relationship where that is expected for the other party to get to know me better, for us to move on from something, I now share certain details about myself to you, hoping that we've reached that threshold, and then you go about and betray me using those details. Now, I expected a particular level of confidence in you, right? I had an entitlement to you because you brought that to me. It's not an entitlement I have in every other person. So you betrayed me, and the hurt I'm going to feel is quite severe. Now, look at it in the other aspect. That is maybe an acquaintance is supposed to transition into a friendship. Now, imagine your husband, someone that has seen you naked, someone that you're building your future with, someone that you've sacrifice and compromise in the real sense of husband. Yeah, you've sacrificed and compromised a lot for this person, and then you expect and hold him to certain gestures, and then he betrays you, and you have to look at that face every day. The act alone is not just the problem in this case, like the other case. The person is also the problem. So I feel just to make this talk not to be so long, I feel like betrayal is betrayal. The act is a problem, the person an even greater problem. So let's go on not betraying others. Thank you. Mwah. Don't betray Nigeria. Get your PVC today.
Kitty for president. Okay. All right. Anita, you're up.
Okay, hi. Am I audible first off? Okay, thank you. Sorry, my thoughts are a little scrambled, yeah, because I'm thinking about this question. I think by very definition of what betrayal is more about the act itself, yeah. However, the point where the person involved comes in is when you're thinking of how deeply this thing hurts you, how severe. Like, there are different types of betrayal, but the person who commits this betrayal is what like helps you rank what is more serious or what is more offensive to you, essentially. So for this question specifically, I think betrayal acts, yeah. But on a personal level, when you're trying to figure out what is a worse betrayal, it is more about the person involved. So if it's, let's say, your best friend does something heinous or maybe commits maybe a mild offense, it feels more serious than this stranger who decided to maybe steal a 50 million naira deal from you. Okay, sorry, 50 million is like extreme. That's money, let's be very honest. But a stranger doing something relatively worse feels lighter because you don't expect anything from the stranger, right? But then this your best friend do something mild is like, how could you do this? You know me, you are my person, I didn't expect this from you. So for the question, betrayal is about the act. But if you are speaking on a very personal level and you want to see like severity of betrayal, I feel like that is when the person who committed this betrayal comes into the equation.
Oh, okay. I think I agree with that. Ibube, you are up. Oh no. Okay. Um, I saw one other hand up, and I'm about to go to the next question. If I can't see, okay, Lambent. After you, we're going straight into the next question.
Thank you. I think I totally agree with Anita. On one hand, the very act of betrayal itself is the act itself is betrayal across boards objectively. On the other hand, who did it matters a lot. Just like intimacy makes betrayal hit harder. Maybe the more you open up yourself, the more someone knows you, the more access they have to you, the more whatever they do, the betrayal would hurt. But I also think that someone can be betrayed without knowing, just like how at court weddings they're going to ask you, you are married willingly, they'll say without being coerced, without being under pressure, without. So they are trying to say that, hope you are not marrying just because so many reasons can be attached to it that is there. You might not start thinking, it's true, I'm not marrying because of. So for instance, growing up, we could just have our parents, they could just come out of nowhere. Your friends are there and they'll be like, that is, look at you, that is why you are still wetting the bed, nothing's in your head, book you don't know, and you feel so betrayed, like, oh, you just embarrassed me. This knowledge was between us, my parents are still here. So sometimes you may feel like you don't know you don't even know that this there's a possibility for this betrayal to happen until it has happened, and then it will hit so much. But on every other hand, I agree with Anita. Across boards, nobody likes to be betrayed. It's the same for every kind of relationship, but depending on who the person is and what you share with them, it can hit deeper. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Lambent. I think that with what every other person has said today, I'm the one that is getting schooled. Betrayal is betrayal is betrayal. So, okay. The next question says, have you ever had a jump scare before? What caused it, and what do you think can make you, as an adult, to jump up and run out of your house? Okay, okay. Keith, with your hand up. Did you just raise your hand?
No, baby, I didn't. We prefer I do.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, no, no. I was just asking. So I'm going to take a question once more. It says, have you ever had a jump scare before? What caused it, and what do you think can make you, as an adult, to jump up and run out of your house? Okay. Let me just start by saying that I probably have had a jump scare before. I've probably been scared out of my mind before. But I do not think that there's anything that can make me to jump up and run out of my house. Okay, maybe a snake. Don't know. But it's my house, so I have to come back and deal with it. So, okay, Barnabas, let's hear from you.
I think I've had one of those incidents that scared the life. Like, after the incident, it takes hours for your soul to come back to your body. That's how it happened to me. I was robbed at gunpoint. The gun was pointed at my head. I think I was about 17 or 18 there. I was coming back from church, and it was late at night. And usually there's a short route that leads to my house, but it's not safe. It's just that it's short, and we've always been warned to not use it. But that day I just decided, since it's short, let me just quickly use the route. And then we were robbed from the bike. It just came, like, it was so sudden. The next thing, gun was pointing to my head, and the guy said, if you move, I blow your brains out. And I felt the cold metal on my forehead. I'm telling you that if this guy had even screamed, I like maybe even said boo, I would have passed out. And then in that split second, my life was like, is this how I would die? Did you get? So even after they left me, I was still trying to understand. I think maybe that's how madness happens, because my mind was like, so wait, so this is how I would have died. And I gave them, I panicked so much. I gave them everything I was holding. It was after they left, I now realized, wait, I was just robbed. And for weeks, I was not myself. I don't know how to explain it, but then it's as though my soul left my body, and every day a piece of it to be coming back one by one, one by one. For months, whenever a bike passes me, I'm always afraid. I was so frightened. It took over a year for me to get over it. But if something would scare me so much that I'll leave my house, I'm not sure. Home is home. Home is home is. I think even that point where I was that afraid and that traumatized, I was indoors for a long time. I was at home, so I don't think anything will happen that would make me run out of my house, except maybe, probably, God forbid, I've lost my mind. But then that can never happen. Yes, so I've had a jump scare, and that's the story.
Oh dear, this is. Ugh, I can't imagine, the trauma alone. Brrr. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you went through something as traumatic as that. Okay. All right. I want to call another person. Who will I call now? Who has not said anything today? Hi, Juliet. Are you there? 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 Okay. All right. I don't think Juliet is there. Okay. Sylvia, you're up. You're up.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me, please?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, we can.
Okay. So, a jump scare. This, when Barnabas was talking about his experience, and something just popped up in my head. That I still can't believe up to today. So, I think growing up, I do not really remember the year, but it was a Sunday, early in the morning, and we usually take things out of the house to clean the house on Sundays. So my the older people woke up early as usual. They were outside cleaning and everything, but the main gate was open. So the main gate was open, and the door to the house was also open. We don't know how. A certain guy has gone to steal something from like the main street. So there are people chasing him and he's running. He does not know where to hide. I don't know how. He entered the house, entered the room, came to lie down on the bed next to me. Nobody knew where he was. So I don't even know. All of it, the next thing I heard, everybody was shouting that I should wake up. Only for me to wake up, and then there's this complete stranger wearing some tattered dress sleeping next to me on the bed. I was so shocked. So now they had to drag him out, and all the people chasing him came to meet him there, and they started beating him again there. Like up to now, I'm so shocked how he entered the house and how he came to lie on the bed. It's just crazy. Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's a crazy story. And I think that's enough to actually scare somebody. All right, all right. Okay, guys. So this is the last question, and I'm going to read it aloud because we do not have so much time anymore. Okay, so the question says, in Johannesburg prison cell, we see the lives of two sons, one who grows up without his father and another whose father is actively present in his life. How does the text show the influence of both absence and presence of a father? And why did both young men ultimately end up in prison despite these different family circumstances? Okay, okay, Barnabas, please go ahead.
Okay, now I found this story very, very funny and interesting. And I think it was also there I realized that as a law student, you're not supposed to have issues that will land you in jail, else you'll not be able to practice law because, in a sense, you're an ex convict. I don't know how it works, but it's on that story I learned. I don't know if it applies to Nigeria. Maybe the lawyers would tell me, but then that's why I learned that as a law student, you're not supposed to land in prison or in jail for any reason that's to tarnish your name. So that's why I learned that. And secondly, I found this story very interesting because this guy ended up in jail and met his half brother in jail. I was not aware that this guy's half brother until he got home, and then the mom just tells him, "This is your," tells the dad, "This is your bastard son," or something like that. And it's funny because both of them ended up in jail, and they had the same father. Just that one was absent. He was an absent father to the other one, and a present father to the other one. It just makes me realize that a terrible father is a terrible father, whether or not he's absent or present. And we know a good father. You know instances where a child loses his dad, but then because of the memory he has of his father, he goes on to live a very good life because his dad was a good man. So in this case, just tells us, shows terrible fatherhood, terrible parenting from the father's side. Because how can both of your sons, who did one of them didn't even know you were growing up, and the other one who lived with you growing up, they both landed in jail, which means that in a sense you're a terrible father. Sorry to say, and that's my opinion about that story. Just shows that goes to show that a terrible father is a terrible father, whether or not he's absent or present, he's terrible. That's my opinion. Thank you.
That's an interesting opinion. I think I have something I want to say about that. Two things, actually. The first will be that just because somebody is around doesn't mean that they're present. Some people are present and yet we can't feel their presence. That's the first. The second would be that maybe it was just coincidence and fate. Who knows how lonely life would have been for the other brother who didn't even have anybody to bail him out. I mean, if his brother wasn't there, I know it's a coincidence, but I think that sometimes life orchestrates the weirdest of circumstances to help us meet people we otherwise wouldn't have met. I mean, aside the prison, what are the chances that they'll just, bump into each other, and not just bump into each other, but find out who their parents were or their mutual parents is at the end of the day? Yeah, so I think that um, I think that's to a large extent, yeah. I think it's coincidence. And then, okay, I think the third idea I have about that is the fact that some things are in the blood and you just can't run away from it. For all the father's posturing and his supposed harshness and fatherliness, and I'm using air quotes as I say this, see what all his progeny, all the children, all his offspring, see what became of all of them individually and collectively. So yeah, that is what I think about that. And I'm not seeing any other hand up. Oh, okay. So Kitty says he was an absent father to both, actually. You see, she's agreeing with me. And okay. So do I see any other hand up? Because I'm about to call somebody's name. Okay. All right. I would love to hear what Clarissa, I hope I said your name right. Clarissa, do you have something to say about this? Are you there,
Yes,
Clarissa?
yes, I am. Good
Okay.
evening.
Good evening.
Okay, for the prison part, I think the stuff here is that it's not even about the father, is that what do I want to say? There gets to a point where it's not really about fatherhood anymore. These people were like university students or something. So I do have a very different opinion about the fatherhood there, whether he was an absent father or a present father, because Kini, those people ended up in prison, which goes on to show that okay, maybe on his own end, though him being a father, he wasn't being serious with them, not necessarily about being present and being a disciplinarian or anything, because then the boy was even scared if his father heard that kind of thing. I think maybe just maybe present in a way that he could influence their lifestyle, more of that. So I don't see it as a fatherhood problem. I see it as like a personal identity problem, more like that, like with their own issues that they ended up in prison. And it's so weird that you go to a prison and you meet your half brother. Of all places in the world to meet a half brother is in prison cell. Like that's mad. And it's the one that ever anyways. I was just there, I read that part for the drama. The fact that is the one that I found out. I didn't think of it as the father thing.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So I think with this, we have come to the end of this book review. And I want to thank everybody who contributed, people who dropped reactions, people who put up things in the chat. Everybody, you guys have made my night, and I'm so grateful to have been your host today. I hope you enjoyed yourself. Do have a lovely, beautiful, wonderful night rest, and meet us here next week for another wonderful review. Good night.
Don't forget to hit the follow button and tap on the notification icon to stay updated. That's all for today's episode. To join our book club or stay updated on future discussions, follow us on Instagram and X at Jollof Book Club, Jollof with a double F. And thank you so much for listening.